This information is brought to you by Microdyne Computer Services. This chart shows senior cyber fraud losses compared to historical baselines. And right at the top of this trend, you can see an estimated $3.4 billion lost in a single year. Scammers don't politely ask for money. They overwhelm the senses. Using flashing tech support alerts and AI-cloned voices of loved ones in distress, they speak fast and create intense panic, completely bypassing a person's rational evaluation. Only 26% of senior internet users report feeling confident when operating their devices. When you combine that lack of familiarity with high-stress tactics, they become highly responsive targets. We have to stop relying on user compliance. Telling a vulnerable person to simply be careful fails against a sophisticated psychological attack. Instead, we need to shift to architectural containment, configuring devices so they inherently protect themselves, blocking the threat before a human ever has to make a choice. Every attack starts with bait, a deceptive link in an email, a fake invoice, or an alarming pop-up warning that tries to reach the user's screen. We can intercept that bait with our first layer of architectural containment, a network filter. Caregivers can do this by simply changing a home router's DNS settings to Cloudflare 1.1.1.3. This diagram shows how DNS filtering operates at the router level. When a device on the Wi-Fi tries to connect to a website, the router checks the destination against a massive real-time block list. It automatically deflects tens of thousands of known malware distribution hubs, phishing sites, and adult content before the page can even load. But no single filter catches everything. If a malicious link happens to slip past the router, we need a second layer of defense waiting at the browser level. That second layer is a free extension called uBlock Origin. It neutralizes the invisible tracking networks and deceptive screen-locking pop-ups that often serve as the primary triggers for tech support scams. By locking down both the network and the browser, caregivers sanitize the digital environment. We remove the burden of split-second security decisions from the user entirely. Sometimes the outer shields fail. A user might click a highly targeted, disguised email attachment, pulling a dangerous payload directly onto their hard drive. This brings us to the inner perimeter and the concept of privilege isolation. For daily web browsing, operating under a default administrator account is incredibly dangerous. This chart shows exactly why. If a user clicks a malicious file while logged in as an administrator, the malware automatically inherits those exact same system privileges. It takes total control, disabling local security and installing persistent rootkits. To stop this, caregivers must isolate privileges by setting up a dual account architecture, transitioning the vulnerable user to a standard user account for all of their daily driving. Under a standard account, incoming malware is paralyzed. Any attempt to modify the system or install global drivers hits a solid wall, requiring a caregiver's administrative password to proceed. There is one final attack vector to close: persistent remote desktop tools. Scammers actively misuse commercial software like AnyDesk or TeamViewer to maintain silent, round-the-clock control over a victim's machine. Caregivers should uninstall those tools entirely and mandate Microsoft Quick Assist for remote support. Built directly into Windows, Quick Assist requires a new, time-limited 6-digit code for every session, completely eliminating persistent backdoors. By implementing a standard user account and stripping away persistent remote access, caregivers strip scammers of the weapons they need. Even if they make contact, they cannot execute a payload. What remains is an invisible digital fortress. Seniors can email their friends, read the news, and manage their daily tasks freely, while systemic threats are silently eradicated in the background. This comprehensive approach is championed by cybersecurity specialist Dan Dueck. His core philosophy recognizes that we cannot expect perfection from internet users who are unfamiliar with modern threats. Protecting vulnerable populations demands proactive architectural defense built directly into the machines they use. Dan Dueck is a cybersecurity specialist with a focus on endpoint security, dealing with hardware and software security. Dan is a huge advocate for the elderly and our more vulnerable population. Our YouTube channel is brand new. Currently, we use Notebook LM to create the videos, but plan to record live videos in the near future. If you enjoy this content or know someone who'd benefit, please share the video and subscribe for more. It's free and helps our channel to be found in searches. Comments are always welcome. The interaction helps us know what videos you'd like in future content. As always, thank you so much for watching.